Things appeared to be peaceful in Formula One regarding silly season, but following the Mexico Grand Prix, whispers say a bomb is going to detonate. The major issue is which of the bombs will go off first. So, will we see some major changes happening over the next few months? And is Fernando Alonso the biggest name amongst these changes? The rumour mill was reactivated on Monday following tweets from some key Formula One officials. It's no secret that there is conflict in various locations. The main question is which of the two bombs will detonate first. Following the Mexican Grand Prix, here is the latest on some ongoing challenges in the sport. Sergio Perez has been under intense scrutiny at Red Bull Racing this season. Perez initially hoped to fight for the world title, but he appears to be losing his spot on the team. The Mexican could have scored significant points for the standings in front of his home fans, but he blew all of his opportunities at the first corner. Red Bull later endorsed him, although the subject will be treated differently initially. This cannot continue in this way. Perez is not only too slow in comparison to Verstappen, but he's also too expensive for the team at the time. With the budget cap, the 33-year-old driver has already inflicted significant damage with his wrecks. Daniel Ricciardo made his impact in Mexico, qualifying 4th ahead of Perez in the RB19. Ricciardo also put in a good performance, however Yuki Tsunoda got extremely near before crashing. As a result, the race pace is still not quite where it should be. The Japanese driver shown once again that he can't manage his emotions, and therefore is not fit for Red Bull. Perez isn't performing up to Red Bull Racing's expectations, but is Ricciardo the best alternative? Alexander Albon demonstrates regularly at Williams that he's also matured tremendously, but Helmut Marko believes that they must now let the tie go. Lando Norris has also been approached, although he would prefer a lengthier stay at McLaren than a spot beside Verstappen. Then maybe Carlos Sainz, an old Red Bull acquaintance and great backup driver for Charles Leclerc. Sainz, on the other hand, wants to win and understands from past experience that he'll be in difficulty with Verstappen. As a result, the possibilities are restricted. Bring on the living legend of the sport, Fernando Alonso. As a switch seems to be a possibility since Aston Martin has fallen off and major investor Lawrence Stroll seems to be open for a sale. Following Aston Martin's dismal performance in Mexico, it appears that Lawrence Stroll will shortly abandon the F1 endeavour. The Geely Group is apparently interested in taking over, and considering that son Lance's motivation has diminished, Lawrence might be wise to sell everything. And the sale is already happening in the background as Aston Martin Lagonda shares worth £255 million were exchanged this week. This adds to the persistent rumours that a portion of the Aston Martin F1 team may be sold, as well as the developing rumours of a driver lineup change. The team had a great start to the F1 season, but they went terribly wrong with the car development. This will undoubtedly irritate Stroll. Dan Fallows and his team duplicated the RB18 successfully at the start of the year, but it became evident over time that duplicating still did not demonstrate understanding of the concept. The Strolls have dabbled with Formula One, initially with Williams and subsequently at Aston Martin. Massive sums of money were invested in the teams, but the dream appears to be coming to an end. So what's next for Aston Martin and its drivers? A major question mark hangs behind Fernando Alonso's name in the Aston Martin affair. At 42, Alonso is the oldest F1 driver on the grid, and while he was still upbeat at the start of the year, the Aston Martin project has come to a halt. Alonso still has a contract until 2024, but will he use it? Alonso previously departed Formula One due to his dissatisfaction with McLaren's performance. The same thing is happening at Aston Martin right now. Alonso must also accept responsibility. Yes, the Spaniard remains one of the finest drivers on the grid, but no team has thrived under his direction throughout the years. Still, there is one ray of hope for Alonso's career to conclude spectacularly: a switch to Red Bull Racing. The Austrian racing team is seeking for a driver that can compete with Verstappen and has a strong preference for specific characteristics. Alonso had already been contacted on multiple occasions, so is it time to make the switch? Max Verstappen in particular will be watched in this regard. Alonso may be a destabilizing factor on a squad. Is Red Bull interested in bringing this in, and does Verstappen want it on his side? Alonso and Verstappen get along well, but how long will it last as teammates? Verstappen isn't afraid to get into a battle, but is that really what Red Bull needs now that it's shattering record after record? On the other hand, it's the greatest driver you can get, and you won't find a more thankful Alonso if you offer him the chance to win races at the age of 42. Especially now that Aston Martin's rise on the grid has failed and looks doomed for next year. Even Fernando Alonso seems done with the project. as he stated that his Aston Martin Formula One team will not be fighting for anything in the remaining races of the 2023 season, instead focusing on learning for the future. Alonso was third in the World Championship as recently as last month's Italian GP, but following a string of disappointing weekends, he currently sits fifth in front of Charles Leclerc, Lando Norris and George Russell, who are all expected to pass him. Meanwhile, Aston Martin has dropped to fifth in the Constructors' Championship, but it is no longer threatened from behind after being surpassed by McLaren. Alonso had another dismal weekend in Mexico, starting 13th and then sliding back due to probable floor damage after Sergio Perez's first corner collision. The team ultimately chose to retire the car. Following a spec change, his teammate Lance Stroll began from the pit lane and was let through by the struggling Alonso before retiring after a late collision with Valtteri Bottas. The Spaniard acknowledges that his downward spiral in the championship standings will continue. "Honestly, we're not fighting for anything," he said. "We will learn, even if we have to start from the pit lane, and that is more useful than just spending the weekend. In the Constructors' Championship, we're locked in the position we are. In the Drivers' Championship, we will lose a couple of places. But it is incredible that we were in front of Ferraris or George or Lando or whatever, but we will lose those positions. They have a very fast car, and yet, let's see what we can do." Alonso remains unwavering in his belief that the team is working hard to get back on track. "We are working as much as we can," he added. "It's not that we're just happy with the situation. It's not the position we wish we were, but at the same time, we are working very hard to reverse the situation. And sometimes you learn more from the difficulties than from the celebrations, so right now we have a difficult time. And we are trying to do as many tests as possible, giving as much feedback as possible to the factory in Silverstone. And hopefully, as I said, finish on a high and not on a low." Asked if things can improve within this season, he said, "I think so. We still need to go to 3 different places, 3 different circuits, which will give us more data again on the car. It depends on what we call finish on a high. If we think that we'll fight for podiums or something like that, I don't think so. But to finish in a competitive way, I think we still have the possibility." But despite Aston Martin's double DNF in Mexico and a decrease in form, Alonso thinks it has been a great season. The team has had a rough season, which continued in Mexico. The Spaniard was unable to recover his bad starting position and was racing at the back of the pack when he withdrew on lap 47, having received damage when running over debris. "Yeah, we felt immediately something wrong in the car," Alonso remarked with a laugh. "We were quite slow. We let Lance go as well at the beginning just to hope for a better result for the team. But we were slow in general in the race. Not only in the race, I think the whole weekend has been a little bit difficult for us. Sometimes you learn more things from the difficulties than from the celebrations, so hopefully it's one of those times." Alonso battled to maintain speed for the most of the race until being forced to withdraw. Alonso started the season with 6 podiums, but since the summer break, he's only finished on the podium once at Zandvoort and has now failed to complete the past 2 races. When asked if he was becoming frustrated, Alonso responded, "Obviously, we would love to keep fighting for podiums, but we're not in that position unfortunately. But no, it's not frustration yet. This year has been an incredible season for us, so even if we DNF the remaining races, 2023 is still a good season. But hopefully we can revert this situation and we can finish on a high." Alonso hopes to finish on a high, but the kind of high he's looking for seems to be an announcement by Red Bull that he'll be driving alongside Max Verstappen in 2024. And although this would shake up the grid and be fun to watch, would this be the best option for Red Bull? After all, Alonso certainly seems to shake up the garages in the teams he's been driving for, especially when it comes down to the wire. So what are your thoughts on the rumours? Could Alonso really make the switch to Red Bull? And if so, would it be the best for the team? Let us know what you think in the comments down below. It seems like we're in for some interesting last races this season, and a lot could happen over the next few months. So make sure to subscribe to our channel to never miss a video.